I'm Diana Marincu, and I'm very proud to have next to me artists Yane, Calovski and Hristina Ivanoska, who are here for their first institutional show in Romania. We are here in the middle of the exhibition If a Story is Present, taking place at Art Encounters Foundation, and we are really glad to have next to them, actually, in the exhibition, 8 young artists from Timișoara: Loredana Ilie, Andreea Ioniță, Ana Kun, Bogdan Matei, Teo Papadopol, Gavril Pop, Ioana Terheș, and Mihai Tot. They worked together with Yane and Hristina during a mentorship to create works especially for this exhibition and to try to expand the ideas that Yane and Hristina based their works on, like the open form theory and other principles that were actually translated also in the methodology of working with the young artists. I think that this exhibition is a multi-layered exhibition and project, and what was very interesting for us is to see how it built up organically. And I would like to start first with Hristina explaining a bit the title of the exhibition, If a Story is Present, because it's actually taken from a text by you, where some of the themes that you approach there, I think, are recurrent in your work, like memory and oblivion. But please, if you can elaborate on that.
Yes, the title of the show is taken from a work of mine, but it's exactly a collaborative work with Yane that we developed together, working with materials that we found at the State Archive in Skopje. And it's related to the building of a very important monument in the late 60s in one small town in Macedonia. I tried to create a dramaturgical text out of the minutes, and I had an idea that this title can function very well with my attempt to present in a different format what we preserve as documents, only as documents or as artifacts. So I think you, Diana, really loved the title, and you thought that it will be great if we can borrow this title from this particular work for the exhibition here in Timișoara, in Art Encounters, and I think it really fits well in what we try to achieve and what the exhibition looked like. So.
Yeah, I also think that this potential of creating a narrative that is not already existing, it's a tool which I think it's very important for all of us in order to understand better also the big narratives that are somehow superimposed on us. So this was also part of our work together to find these traces of other parallel narratives.
Or hidden narratives that are there, living in the gaps between the great narratives, which are known, unknown, or forgotten, or institutionally suppressed sometimes.
Exactly. And speaking about institutionally suppressed things, I would like to comment a bit on institutional drawing, that is a work which all the time it somehow changes according to the space. It's a very site-specific but also site-sensitive work that you proposed, Yane. And here in the exhibition, institutional drawing, it's also a conceptual tool that you use.
Yes, institutional drawing, it was an idea I basically started to develop in 2010 for my solo exhibitions at Tate Britain, and it refers to this part of any institutional space that warrants some kind of uncalled for performativity. So it's basically the part on the wall we delineate where we basically want to either protect the wall from action or in a reverse somehow psychology point to the possibility of action on the wall. So in this case, the drawing, as you said, always it's sensitive to the architecture, to the site. So in this case, we had to find one reference point within the architecture of Art Encounters Foundation, and that was the height of the window. And from a discussion with all of you, with the artists, but also with people working here, the space below the window, it's the space which it's less noticeable, where things don't usually get hung or performed or exhibited in any way. So we delineated this space, and all of a sudden we had a space within the space because of the drawing. And we found also together from a collective approach what color this drawing should be. And we have this very neutral gray color. So everything, all these decisions lead to the concept of the drawing. Like, this is how the drawing is built, and it's very close to the theory of open form, of how actually you can analyze and develop a work from conversation with others who will be in a way approaching it or using it. So in our case specifically, we invited Loredana Ili to intervene within the institutional drawing with her drawings. So we activated it in a way that I have actually not activated so far in previous projects. So yeah, institutional drawing really took a significant leap forward as a concept, actually, because it was activated as it was in a way originally intended.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that also it's very interesting how it influences the height of the works, mm-hmm. and how it somehow it creates also a different perspective on your works. What I think we should further elaborate on is the open form theory. So you extracted 9 principles from the theories, from the writings of the Polish architect Oskar Hansen, and this was very important, and it has been developed in many of your works in different ways, but you also developed a font starting from these principles, and I would like to talk about what is written actually behind us on the wall, because I think it's very symbolical to how the whole exhibition was constructed.
Yes, what is written behind on the wall is one of the principles that was selected by you, Diana, that probably represents what art encounter is and would like to be. Partnership instead of domination. And this is one of my last attempts how to translate this typography into something more visual. And I tried something which is dealing with the colors of the 9 principles, with the typography, and also with the visibility and invisibility of the text. So this principle is written there, but the way how the letters are overlapping with each other, they create their own cohesive space that is present in the gallery. The typography itself, it took me 3-4 years, maybe more, to come to this particular typography, which today exists as a font only in 2 languages, English and Macedonian for the moment. But it started from my interest into working with text, with the visibility and invisibility of the text, with readability and engagement of the audience to involve themselves in the process of reading a language, reading letters, and also working with the hierarchies, because while I was testing this idea of creating my own typography, I also was transferring to different mediums, to a fabric, to a piece of wood, to a wall. And I also realized that at one point, the only thing which I need to extract, the final stage of creating the font, was extracting the vertical and horizontal line, the lines of the hierarchies. So then I could just leave a space, not only for the circles, the semicircles and diagonals that remains, but also this is a space that it's created for other voices to be heard. Something that is part of my practice for many years, the voices which were suppressed, as I mentioned before, something that I have as an interest for a very long time. So this was the right decision, and from that moment on, this typography became an archetype open form. This is how we name it, just to also to embrace what we learned and what we still can learn from Oskar and Zofia Hansen and their open form theory.
Yeah, I think that one of the lessons that we can take from them is exactly this: how to work flexibly, horizontally. Of course, they were also referring to how a city is being developed and how it doesn't have to have a center and a periphery, but a more rhizomatic development. And I think in that sense, also in the exhibition, the way you worked with the artists and the intersections that you created are completely embracing these tools that are out there, and it's also, I think, a very practical way of implementing these principles. If you want, Yane, to talk a bit about how you overlapped this and how authorship somehow was also, in a way, diffused.
You know what is interesting with the open form theory? I think everybody has a chance to understand it in their own terms, in their own right. So there is no one perfect, for example, definition of what that exactly is, or what it is in terms of architecture, or urban planning, or visual art, or curatorial work, etc. So in our case here for this show, we wanted to share first what we know of the open form and how we understand it with Hristina, how we have applied it methodologically through our practice since the last 15 or so years, but in the same time to see how we can also test some of the pedagogical tools of Hansen, or conversational, collaborative possibilities within the theory, and specifically, working with younger artists who in this case were, exceptionally talented, very collegial, very easy to work with. So just developing 8 new ideas, 8 new concepts, and which will reflect somehow on what's already maybe integrated in our work, but also what's already integrated in their own work, and how to create 8 new works which will be in conversation with some of the pre-selected works. So it was an incredible and very rare chance to actually do mentorship in this way, something that will result immediately in an exhibition, in a work that is exhibited, and an exhibition that is then presented to the public in a very legible and clear way. So for me, open form theoretically and practically merged with the pedagogical aspect and the teaching aspect, but also the collegial and conversational aspect of working together. And in terms of authorship, I think everybody's very strong voice. Everybody in this exhibition is a artists that know what they're doing or what they are as author, but in the same time I think we suspended a lot of these notions of authorship in order to actually create something genuine, and I think that's very visible at the end. Everybody's credited for what they've done, but in the same time I think the works flow in such a way that you do not bother yourself with immediately looking for the name, but looking at the idea.
Yeah, true. I think that this is something that, in a way, summarizes what we try to do in the exhibition, and I'm very happy that we got the chance to see such an extensive body of your work, but also new works by the young artists. And I think this was a very good opportunity to discuss where we are right now, what are the notions we should talk about in the art world, what it means to be generous at the same time, and a learning process that is not a hierarchical one, but more as, a continuous learning from each other process. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you so much.
Thank you for the invitation and for the opportunity.